Muslims, we have a very natural belief. We have a very close relationship with Allah. It's not like the Church of England or Catholics. We gotta go kiss some Pope's feet or some weird stuff. No, this is all between you and your Creator, right? That Creator brought you here today. That Allah wrote for you to come here so you can hear the message. Now it's up to you whether you accept or reject, right? It's that a choice Allah gave people. Either they can accept or reject. But then there's consequences to every choices, right? Now, if this phone cannot come by itself, and we agreed you came as a more complex being, and if this phone had a designer, had a manufacturer, had a creator, then you have a designer, a manufacturer, a creator, right? That creator sent you a message, because imagine when you bought, I'm sure you have a phone, right? So when you bought your phone, when you opened the box, were there instructions inside? Right? Why? Because there are certain things you should and shouldn't do with your phone, right? Like if I want to bake an egg and I want to put this on my oven and throw an egg on top, what's going to happen to my phone? I'm not going to have it anymore. And I'm going to be out maybe 1,000 pounds or something, right? I don't know how much phones are out here, right? But the manufacturer tells you, hey, don't do that. Don't put this in certain types of heat, certain depths of water it can handle, some it cannot, right? Because the manufacturer, the designer knows best, right? And that's only intelligent. Imagine tomorrow if you design something new, a new technology, wouldn't you give some instructions with it? Right? Because you're intelligent. But our Creator is more intelligent than us. He's the most intelligent. He's the most knowing because He created us, right? So that Creator is not going to leave you without guidance. And that guidance is going to come. Just like the Prophet Jesus, he brought a message to his people, not to worship idols, not to worship graven images, to worship none but one Lord, right? Just like that, before him, the Prophet Moses, peace and blessings be upon all the prophets, he brought a message to the people of Israel. Don't worship golden cows, don't worship people, don't worship idols, worship the one God, right? Abraham, same message. Ishmael, same message. Go back, all the way back to Noah, to Adam, same message. From that time till the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon all the prophets, they all brought one message. Worship the one true Creator, the one true Lord. Don't worship idols, don't worship people, don't worship prophets. Worship none but that one Lord and follow the Prophet of your time. Right? Does that make sense? Imagine, what phone do you have right now?
What phone?
What kind of phone do you have?
Android.
Android?
6.
Okay. So it's a 6, right? Imagine if you have the instructions from the first or second one. Would that work with the 6th? No, because the 6th has new technologies, there are updates, right? There are things that have changed. So you always want to go with the latest and greatest, right? So now the messages that came over time came to the true prophets. But when people would hide messages and when they would write things themselves and attribute it to God, then Allah brought the last final message. Wouldn't it make sense to follow the final one? Yes? All this makes sense to you, right? It fits, right? I know it's a lot to take in, relax. But if it makes sense to you, if you see it to be more common sense, you could say, than to think that a phone came by itself or a human came by itself or the universe came by itself, then what would hold you back from accepting such a beautiful message? Nothing? Good? You're on your way to the truth, right? Is there any question you have about Islam that would make you hesitant to be a Muslim?
Not that thing. Right.
Don't be shy, relax. We don't get offended, right?
One of the conversations that we had, I don't think I had the right, I didn't have enough knowledge in it to kind of fully explain what our stance, like with the LGBTQ. Like
Sure.
that sort of stance with what we kind of deem as haram and what we deem as...
No problem.
Yeah, I think that's one of the conversations.
Do you have a question about that? I can answer it, no problem.
Not a specific question. General view.
Sure.
Why say?
No problem. I got you. So, when we say that there is a creator, right? And we agreed that that creator is more intelligent than us. He knows us better than anybody else. He created us. He designed us, right? So that creator knows better how we would function, right? So that creator sets boundaries for us, right? Like, for example, Muslims, we don't allow drinking of alcohol. Why? Somebody might say, I just want to enjoy a little drink, right? But when people drink alcohol, then sometimes they get drunk, get in a car and hit kids, right? I'm sure you guys have drunk driving accidents in the UK. We got plenty in the US, right? Sometimes people get drunk, then they lose their mind and they punch somebody or they get in a fight and they end up doing something they shouldn't because they were drunk, right? Sometimes they end up sleeping with somebody they shouldn't and they regret it the next morning, right? So all these things we see as the evils that come out of drinking, right? So now Allah knew our nature. He knew that even if there is some good in alcohol, even if there is some people that can control it, as a society generally, the evils that come out of it will be a lot worse than the benefits, right? So Allah forbid that for us for our own benefit. That makes sense? Okay. So just like that, when we look at how a species procreates, how does any species procreate? What is the natural way for a species to continue? There is a male, there is a female, right? And then you got offspring. Make sense? Right? Now, if we take that, this is a very natural behavior. If you switch it up and you put a male hyena with a male hyena, is the species going to procreate? Or a female hyena with a female, is it going to procreate? So the natural order is destroyed there, right? Now, I'm not talking about morality yet. I'm just talking about natural order, right? And any species that at a large scale goes down that path and no longer reproduces enough to continue, the species dies out. Agreed? Right? And that's why in the natural kingdom, you can say, you may see some odd activities from some animals, but as a large basis, you will not find it. You will find that there are male lions and female lions, and that's how the tribe or the pride grows, right? When we see that natural method violated in an unnatural way, whether it is through any which way, you will find many other problems, even lubrication issues and ways, because you're using an unnatural method. You will now no longer be able to procreate the human race through that method, right? Knowing this, our great creator, through all the scriptures, whether it's the Old Testament, you can read Leviticus, or the New Testament, you can read Romans, or the Qur'an, you will find it forbidden, right? Because this is not the natural way that our creator designed us to be. Does it make sense, right? Some people may have an inclination towards it, right? I'm not denying that. Some people may have an inclination towards alcoholism. Some people may have an inclination towards a bad temper. But it doesn't mean that it's okay to carry your inclinations out in a way that would be deemed correct by our creator, right? That makes sense or no? Right? Now, let's be real about it. Like, I'm real, so hope I don't get too real for you, but we're from the US, we don't have filters, right? So, when you look at morality, right? We just talked about natural order. It all made sense from a natural, but let's talk about morality. What's moral and what's immoral, right? If you make it subjective, then everything is immoral according to somebody, and everything is moral according to somebody else. You feel me? Right? So we as Muslims say, we're not going to set our own morality. We will follow scripture. Whatever is in the scripture, whatever the divine creator ordained, that's what we consider morality. So if I am asked, is it moral or immoral to rob somebody? I will say it's immoral, not because I feel it's immoral, because Allah forbid it in the Qur'an, because the Prophet forbid it in his ahadith, you know? Because if I make it subjective, then Robin Hood, he was robbing people, but everybody praises him, right? If you're that rich guy that Robin Hood robbed from, then you think that's horrible. Like, man, I collected all this money, you gave it to the poor, right? But if you're the broke person that Robin Hood would give money to, whether he existed or not, I don't care, right? Just an example, then he's a hero, right? One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So when you make it subjective, then there is no morality, right? Because is incest, if I asked you, Edward, is incest moral or immoral? Why? Love is love. Why you want to judge people? There's no harm. But you said it's immoral. Why are you being judgmental? You see? In that way, if we leave morality to people, then there is no morality. So we follow the scripture. And in every scripture, not just the Qur'an, in every scripture, including the New Testament, including the Old Testament, including what was revealed to Ibrahim and others before that, homosexuality was forbidden, it was sinful. So we think it to be sinful. Make sense? That's it.